Crash Bandicoot is one of the most popular and recognisable video game franchises in the world. The titular character has seen 25 years worth of adventure foiling the plans of the evil Dr. Neo Cortex. As Sony's answer to Nintendo's Super Mario and Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog, this manic orange marsupial has left a legendary legacy of jumping, spinning, sliding and dancing through treacherous and diabolical platforming challenges, leaving many a player beaten, bruised and defeated, with a little bit of rage on the side. Today, we're going to turn the clock back to 1996, where it all began, and share some of our special tips and tricks to help you navigate the relentless and unforgiving Wampa Islands. Join us as we teach you how to play Crash Bandicoot. The first level in the game is Insanity Beach, which is a very simple and straightforward level to help you get your bearings and figure out the fundamentals of how to play the game. Crash's arsenal consists of running, jumping and spinning. These moves are incredibly useful for avoiding obstacles, but they should be used scarcely and in moderation. You have to keep in mind that Crash is only a bandicoot. Like all creatures, he only has a certain amount of stamina and endurance. Constantly running and jumping causes him to run out of energy and exhausts him. He needs to conserve energy if he hopes to make it to the castle. Additionally, frequent spinning is also dangerous. It can lead to dizziness and back pain, which is an unnecessary health risk and should be avoided where possible. It is crucial to look after Crash's health and well-being so that he's fit enough to save the world, so we recommend taking it slow and steady. Walk at all times unless running is necessary, and only jump and spin in an absolute emergency. That way you'll be saving the day while also being safe and responsible. Along the way you'll see all kinds of collectibles, fruit, crash mugs and Akuaku masks. At a first glance they look helpful and your instinct is to pick them up, but the truth is collecting those collectibles comes with dire consequences. Firstly, the Wampa fruit. No one would blame you for thinking that it's a healthy fruit and it's worth collecting, and you'd be right to assume that. But to properly understand the hidden dangers of Wampa fruit, we need to do some proper scientific research. In the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, Snow White bites into a poisoned apple. She didn't know it was poisoned and there was no way for her to tell. It looked just like any other apple. Similarly, in the Bible, Adam and Eve eat the forbidden fruit and are kicked out of the Garden of Eden. That fruit was just like any other fruit. It just so happens that that particular fruit was forbidden. So how do we, as players of Crash Bandicoot, know that each and every Wampa fruit is safe? How do we know that a Wampa fruit isn't poisoned? Snow White couldn't tell the apple was poisoned, so how are we supposed to be able to tell? The fact is, you can't. So the safest course of action is to avoid the fruit and destroy it where necessary. That way there is zero chance of Crash being poisoned or being exiled from the Garden of Eden. Crash mugs, which are this game's extra lives, do exactly what they say on the tin. They provide Crash with an extra life. That seems great at face value. Get it? Face value? Because it's Crash's face, and it's face value. Anyway, it seems like there are no drawbacks to collecting these extra lives, but few players actually stop to consider what's really going on. Nobody stops to question what the Crash mugs actually are, and how they come into existence in the world of Crash Bandicoot. And there is one possibility that you cannot rule out. Is it not a possibility that the Crash mugs could be representations of other Bandicoots who have died in the Wampa Islands? Is it not a possibility that the Crash mugs are a physical manifestation of their brave and earnest souls, and the only remaining traces of their existences? Would it then not be inappropriate, inconsiderate, immoral even, to take that from them? Would you really be willing to wipe their existence from history for your own personal gain? You're literally harvesting the souls of your fellow Bandicoots. It's selfish, it's mortifying, technically, it's cannibalism. Do you really want that stain on your conscience? Look, what I'm trying to say here is take the moral high ground and leave those Crash mugs alone. Let your fellow Bandicoots rest in peace. The final collectible you'll come across in the game are the Akuaku masks. Akuaku is a wooden mask who, when collected, will follow you around and protect you from damage. Collecting 3 of them will also grant you temporary invincibility. The immediate payoff for collecting Akuaku is very useful, but you need to think about the long-term effects that picking him up will have. If you let him follow you and take hits for you, he'll get attached to you and follow you into the second game, where he'll continue to take more hits and protect you even more. By the time you get to the third game, he'll have taken so many hits for you that he'll be able to successfully guilt-trip you into helping him out with his unhinged evil twin brother. Do you really want to get muddled up in his family affairs? I didn't think so. so it's easier in the long run if you leave him be. Now that we've covered the basic controls and collectibles, it's time to move on to some gameplay elements. You'll have noticed that levels in Crash Bandicoot are littered with wooden crates. These crates are usually filled with Wumpa fruit but occasionally contain Crash mugs and Akuaku masks, collectibles that we've already covered. If you reach the end of a level after breaking all of those crates, you'll be rewarded with a gem. That all seems well and good, doesn't it? But, as we've learned, not everything is as simple as it seems at a first glance. Those crates belong to someone. Whether it's an individual or an organisation, those crates belong to someone. On top of that, you're being paid in gems to break them. Were we to take this to court, you would be charged with destruction of private property, and you would also have to live with the shame of accepting a bribe for your criminal actions. If you want a prison sentence, carry on destroying those crates, it's your call, but we suggest leaving them be where possible. One crate we do recommend destroying though are the TNT crates. They're full of explosives and are very dangerous. This is the one time where destroying private property is acceptable, since if left unattended it could explode and hurt somebody. Many players will jump on TNT crates to trigger their 3-second countdown and leave them be to explode. But that's actually very reckless. If someone got close to the TNT crate during the 3 seconds, they could be seriously hurt or even killed. Instead, it's better to get up close to the TNT crate, look around and make sure no one's nearby, and then hit it with a spin attack. That way the crate will detonate instantly, greatly lowering the risk of someone getting too close before it explodes. It's a simple, efficient and selfless way of dealing with such a hazard. Another level element you'll come across while playing the game is the wildlife. You'll often encounter plants, turtles, skunks, birds, and all kinds of other flora and fauna. In these modern times we live in, it's important to take care of the environment. Our planet is crucial to our survival, just as it is for the wildlife. We should be looking after each other. Don't attack the wildlife, be friendly to them. Walk up to them, pet them, feed them, play with them if you like. They're a crucial part of the ecosystem and need to be taken care of. Some wildlife might even help you out. Along the way, Crash will encounter a reluctant but helpful hog, who will give Crash a ride through the village. It is important here to show trust and develop a bond between Bandicoot and Hog. Don't try and take control of the hog. Trust it. Let it guide you through the village on its own. We need to be able to rely on each other and help each other out, and letting the hog do its thing is a great way of building that mutual trust. Speaking of the environment, there are 2 environmental hazards that pop up frequently that would be worth talking about. The first is water. The Wumpa Islands are full of lakes and rivers and all sorts. The reason that's a hazard is because Crash doesn't know how to swim. Yet. It may seem daunting to throw yourself into the deep end when you don't know how to swim, but it's all about taking those first baby steps and making the effort to learn. I mean, do you really think that Crash immediately knew how to swim when the time came to dive underwater in Crash 3? Of course not. It was a long process of learning, and it all begins with the first step. So, while you're out and about, why not teach Crash to swim? Just jump in. He'll get the hang of it eventually. The other hazard we need to talk about is toxic waste. It certainly sounds threatening, doesn't it? It may also look threatening, but as we know, looks can be deceiving. While it may seem dangerous, toxic waste is actually really good for you. I mean, think about it. Toxic waste is green. Green means good. When does green ever not mean good? Plants and trees and bushes and stuff are green when they're alive. When people want you to eat healthy, they tell you to eat your greens. Money is green in some places. Leprechauns are good luck, and they're green. The green traffic light means go, not stop. And toxic waste isn't just any old green. Toxic waste glows green. It is a green substance that radiates more green. It doesn't get greener than that. So if you see toxic waste, only good things can come of it. Why not dive in? Who knows, it might even make those swimming lessons more exciting. We have just one more tip before we send you on your way. During your playthrough, you'll occasionally come across boss fights. Now, we don't want to spoil too much and hold your hand through it all, so if you're having trouble, a walkthrough might be helpful. But there's one thing about the first boss in the game that many players overlook. Papu Papu, the first boss in the game, isn't actually a boss. He isn't looking for a fight. I mean, just analyze his movement and what he's trying to achieve. He's very clearly training for the upcoming village whack-a-mole tournament. Your job isn't to beat him up here, it's to help him test his skills. Continue to avoid his attacks until he feels satisfied with his abilities, and you'll be on your way to continuing your adventure before you know it. And that was our final tip. We covered a lot in this video, including collectibles, crates, wildlife, and so much more. Hopefully this info will come in handy and assist you in your effort to rescue Tawna and defeat Cortex. Happy crashing!